Obsidian Flame pre-releases have started, and if everything goes according to plan, yesterday you have seen some Obsidian Flame cards from my build and battle kit, or maybe I buy an extra one or something. I don't know exactly what's going on, but today I kind of wanted to say goodbye to Paldea Evolved. At least the format that we've been in, because I am going to be starting to focus on Obsidian Flames. Tomorrow, if this goes out when I think it does, I will be starting my full set review of Obsidian Flames, going through each type, one type a day, and that'll lead all the way to the release of Obsidian Flames. So today, I wanted to show you the decks I was working on, and I just couldn't make work enough even for a Jank deck. So first off, this is my most recent one. That's why it doesn't even have a name. It is Slowking EX. I wanted to make Slowking EX work, and I couldn't figure out how. And I was probably on the wrong track this whole time. But I thought for 2 energy, 130, that's not great. But you get to search your deck for 2 cards. Any 2 cards and put them into your hand, right? So that can set you up for next turn. Obviously, Iono and Judge are in the format, so those 2 cards may not be in your hand for very long, but your opponent can only play so many of those cards. And so I thought, what a great way, right? What a great way to use Slowking. Is just to make sure you can get the cards you need when you need it. I thought we'll have Tinkaton for some extra draw and an alternate attacker. Just throw on a Luminous Energy and Tinkaton can go for it, right? A Luminous Energy and a Psychic Energy at some point. And Tinkaton can attack for 180. Pretty awesome. You can get Tinkaton by using Slowking's Wise Headbutt in order to, you know, search your deck for 2 cards. Maybe you grab the 1 piece you're missing or 2, but both pieces you're missing. We have a Slowbro as an alternate evolution that can pull energy away from, or damage from your other Pokemon to try to save them from being KO'd, try to extend survivability a bit. And we also have a Slowbro from Pokemon Go that you can try to sneakily take to prizes, right? And try to win the game that way. We have alternate evolutions, we have disruption, we have tons of supporters, because when you can grab any card you want, you're going to want options, right? I used the Spirit Mask to try to just force my opponent to discard cards from their hand, disrupt them just that little bit, and try to extend our survivability a bit so that we can knock them out with 2 to 3 hits from Slowking. And it just never seemed to work. Maybe I'm using the wrong cards. Maybe this will give you an idea of how to build Slowking yourself and make it better. But yeah, never got Slowking working, and that's it. We're moving on to Obsidian Flames soon. Next up, Slacking. Slacking was a deck that I honestly started to record the rundown for this, then looked at the calendar and was like, oh no, I won't get to play this deck. I have to do Obsidian Flames content. Because last week was my 10-year anniversary, and so I'm pre-recording here because I want to enjoy my anniversary, right? I don't want to come home and then have to run out and do recordings. So I'm pre-recording a bunch, and yeah, Slacking just never got to see the light of day. I was doing something interesting where I had rare candies, I had the stage 1 for Slacking, so I was like, what if I get a little cheeky with the card draw? And I went with Wurmple Beautifly. Beautifly has an ability where you draw up until you have 6 cards. It's 2 more cards than Barrel. That's pretty cool, right? No, not 2. 1 more card. 1 more card than Barrel. That's pretty cool, right? But it's a stage 2. That's where I got 2 from. It's a stage 2. It's more difficult to get out than Barrel. But I'm playing rare candy anyways. So what if I just do that, you know, with my draw card, my draw supporter? And I'm playing Reversal Energy, so why not throw Luxray in it? And I'm playing Double Turbo, so why not throw Radiant Jirachi in it, which also has an ability that lets me grab 3 cards from my deck so I can set up so nicely. And it's a rough deck. Holy cow. I like it. It works. It functions. The idea is slacking a stage 2 Pokemon can do 240 damage. Then it goes to sleep, and you have to flip 2 heads during Pokemon checkup in order to wake up. So instead of trying to hit 2 heads, you just whack a therapeutic energy on it, and boom! He stays awake. And if you can't do that, say you are using reversal energy, and that's taking up the 3 energy, so you don't need therapeutic for the attack, well, you can always just throw wind-up arm on him, and then he can attack while being asleep. And I thought, that's cool, let's do that. And it just gets clunkier and clunkier and clunkier. I've got Mezagoza to try to get some sort of consistency. I've got a Great Ball in here because there just wasn't enough search for me. Bruno, because it's single prize Pokemon, they're going to get knocked down a ton. So Bruno lets you draw a bunch of cards. Iono, because Iono can maybe disrupt my opponent. Like, you can see how it's kind of messy. And it's fun. And it kind of works. I was going to use it for a week. This is probably my most complete deck. And I just couldn't make it work. I went with the single strike slack-offs, and that proved to be a problem when Drapion showed up. I had to then start managing my bench a little bit better, but Drapion's often a surprise, so he would get a KO or two, and yeah. Dunsparce for weakness, Manaphy for spread. Trying to have answers for everything while doing something weird just wasn't working for me. So sadly, Slacking just fell off the edge of the calendar, basically. Next up, I was working on something I call Mud Snake, which might come back. I mean, some of these decks might come back in Obsidian Flames in different ways, but I just want to show you guys what I've been working on. So Seviper with Venoshock, 60 damage plus 120 if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned. That's 180 damage, pretty phenomenal. But we are using double turbo energy, so that's 160. Still good, plus they're poisoned, so they're going to take 10 between turns, or they'll take 30 between turns. And the best way to poison right now is Paldean Clogzyre EX. But you're using it as a support Pokemon, and it feels very strange using a 2-prizer as a support, just kind of bench sitting. And it's really rough. Difficult to get the energy Seviper needs constantly. You have so much bench sitting. Clogzyre sitting on the bench. Barrel's sitting on the bench. Squirvet's sitting on the bench. Hisuian Sneasler is sitting on the bench. That's 4 bench spots. Plus you have Seviper in the active. And so you have 1 bench spot that's open. Do you double up on Clogzyre in case they boss it up? Do you double up on Barrel in case they boss it up? Or do you put a Seviper? And often the answer is Seviper, but then often they do boss up something, KO it, and completely ruin your consistency. And it's been rough. I was also playing Dynatree Hill just to try to prevent healing, because I felt like there wasn't enough good stadiums out there, and I needed something out there that would help my deck. And so, since you're not one-hit KOing, you don't want them healing. So I thought Dynatree Hill would work. I had Avery in here. Avery is such a hit-and-miss card for me. I love it. I think the design is awesome. However, too often, your opponent, when poisoned, will retreat. And that means there's a damaged Pokemon on their bench, and if you play Avery, that's the one they're going to discard. Right? It just makes sense. And yeah, it's awkward. But I got this one pretty close. It almost showed up a couple weeks. Honestly, if Professor W328 didn't send me a deck, it was between Mudsnake and Slacking that was going out after Big Worm. Yeah. So you might have seen one of these 2 decks in action. Beyond that, we had Tauros Box. I featured that on stream. So, not in a week, but on stream. Check out the stream section. Sometimes they put that in a different area on YouTube for some reason. Check that out. Just completely losing all the time, but that's not necessarily new for me. This was a weird deck that I was trying out. I thought, how much damage can I prevent? So, here's the math. 4 Hariyama's out, right? That's 40 less damage. Radiant Gardevoir out. That is 20 less damage from Pokemon V. And Zamazenta out. That is 20 less damage from Pokemon V Max. So if you are going up against a Pokemon V Max, that is negative 40 plus 40, 80 damage. But that's not all, right? Because we have Rock Chestplate. So that's 30 less damage. So that's 110 that we're looking to be taking less damage of. Then we have Lake Acuity for another 20. So that's 130 less damage coming at you from Pokemon V Maxes. Now, if it's a V Star, okay, that's 110. And if it's a Pokemon EX, okay, that's 100 or something like that. I lost track of the math, right? But that's the idea behind this deck. It was fun. It doesn't necessarily work all the time. Zamazenta is your attacker. 3 energy, 150 is not exactly great. So we threw in Grant to try to help go up to 180. So Pokemon V Maxes are topping out near 330 at the moment. So Grant would try to help fix that. You have a terrible matchup against Mew V Max, although you are you are lessening the amount of damage you're taking. You're also weak to it. So then you'd have to like flex into, no, Hariyama's weak. Your whole deck is weak to Psychic. Yeah, it's a rough one. Didn't even get a name. It was just something I threw together that was fun and funky. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Here we have, I was trying to make Robska actually playable. So, Revival Blessing. Put a Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. Doesn't have to be a basic. It can be anything. So why don't we use stage 1s that don't necessarily work? Like Shiftry. This Tearing Gust attack. 210 damage. That's a ton. 1 Grass Energy. Awesome. Put this Pokemon in all attached cards in the Lost Zone. So you are Lost Zoning Shiftry. So it doesn't make sense to build up this stage 2 to get 1 attack. But if you Robska into play, yeah, Shiftry makes a little bit more sense. We were playing 4 copies of Shiftry. At one moment, this was a rainbow deck. It was going to have a bunch of different typings I was trying to hit weakness on. I also played Delphox, which for a single energy, colorless, so it could be anything. This attack does 60 damage for each Serena card in your discard pile. Okay, so we are playing 4 copies of Serena. Got it. That can max out at what? 240 fire damage? Awesome. We've got Tinkaton with the Gathering Materials ability. You get a little bit of consistency. And Psychic Pokemon that can hit 180 damage. Awesome. And I tried making it work. It doesn't really work unless your opponent just starts off rough and Rabska can attack multiple times with Revival Blessing. Other than that, if that doesn't happen, then you attack with Rabska, you get a stage 2 out. They KO your Rabska because it's 70 HP. That stage 2 goes in the active, you play down your Realor, so next turn you can evolve it to Rabska, you attack with your stage 2, and if it's Shiftry, it just Lost Zoned itself, so you need something else to go into the active. And yeah, it's rough. It is a rough deck, but it was kind of fun, and I really enjoyed building it. Playing it was interesting. I wouldn't say enjoyable, though, sadly. Let's see. Swordfish. Vespiquen. Vespiquen was supposed to see play. It was supposed to be one of the first decks I showed off. It was one of the first decks I built. It was the Vespiquen where order a raid 120 damage for a single grass energy, but you have to choose a benched Combi and shuffle it back into your deck. Well, perfect. Artisan just came out, right? That just searches your deck for a basic Pokemon, puts it on your bench. So if you have Artisan out and you're shuffling Combi back in, you can just bring it back out. Great. An issue happens. It's currently bugged. I did write up a bug report for them. I don't think they've gotten to it yet. Where if you have another Vespiquen out, this Vespiquen will put the Combi under that Vespiquen back into your deck. Which makes no sense, but that's what it does. It won't actually let you select the Combi that's play, you have to select the Vespiquen with the Combi under it. Then, next turn, you'll be able to attack and shuffle the Combi. So, honestly, if it worked like that, it might be way better, but it doesn't work like that. That's not how it's supposed to work, so I didn't feel right showing the deck in a bugged state. So, which is fine, because this is a bugged Pokemon. I also mixed in this Vespiquen with Honey Rush, where you reveal a number of sweet honey cards in your hand. This attack does 60 damage for each card you revealed. So then I had to throw in Milotic, which meant that if I got the honey cards in my hand, then my opponent can't disrupt my hand and remove them, and that would protect me. And it turned into more of this Vespiquen than the new Vespiquen, and I wasn't really liking that, but that was the way the deck functioned. I use Mew because you're searching for sweet honey, you're searching for a bunch of items. I used 2 cross switchers rather than a boss, and that seemed to be working because I was trying to hold on to cards so much. It was also going to feature Faulkner, which I love Faulkner. I think it's a fantastic card, and obviously you're going to want Artisan in play all the time, so Faulkner just draws 4, which is fantastic. Clara to get back Pokemon and energy, Avery to mess with your opponent. It was a good deck, just it was bugged, and so I was never able to display it. Then I also built Good Boy. Now this one actually wasn't for stream. This was just for me to be messing around. The idea is you want to start Luxray and search for trainer cards, right? And it's just trainers, not items. Yeah, trainer cards. And then you can use those trainer cards to try to get Zacian v Union out. We were using Shining Arcana to try to get energy onto Zacian v Union so it can do its big attacks like Master Blade, where 340 damage, so you can KO whatever the heck you want. You can do this 150 damage attack and then you take 150 less, and it was fun to play on ranked. Not that I got a bunch of wins, but it was just fun because people didn't know what to expect. And so you got Radiant Serena here to heal, to try to keep V-Union Zacian out as long as possible, because V-Unions are just kind of weak, in my opinion. A lot of work for not as much return. We've got the Kirlia line to try to discard the pieces, the Gardevoir line to try, Gardevoir to try to accelerate energy, through a Gallade just to be able to search for supporters because that seemed useful. Lucky Ice Pops to heal. Same with Crystal Cave, and it's a mess, but it's a hot mess in my opinion. It's a good boy. Zacian V is a good boy. I also built not Mew because I've always felt like Mew kind of stole the spotlight with Fusion Strike Pokemon. So it's a Fusion Strike deck without Mew, and that's basically the core concept. So we're mostly attacking with a Selgor, but we've got Meloetta as backup, we've got Deoxys as backup, we got this SQ as backup. It was trying to do a lot of different things. It was just for me, it wasn't going to be for the channel. I also had jump left tools, and I've kind of mentioned this in some other videos, or maybe you guys haven't seen those videos yet, but I was trying to build a jump left deck using the new jump left and a mix of the rapid strike jump left, right? And I was trying to make it a toolbox, literally, where you have several different tools, and depending on the situation, depending on the jump left, you're going to want to attach different tools. So I was trying to use Shopping Center. That's not working. I used Toolbox to grab tools. A mix of Rapid Strike energy, Luminous energy, Grass energy to try to make it all working, and it just didn't. It just didn't work. Yeah, I wanted it to work so bad, but it just didn't. Let's see, what else? Ooh, Belly Bolt. Belly Bolt is a Pokemon EX I think has potential. The Paralyzing Ball does 160 damage, and you can discard 2 Lightning Energy and paralyze that Pokemon. And you don't have to discard, right? So 280 is kind of hard to KO. Plus you can paralyze and do 160, and if you're getting the KO, obviously don't discard the energy, and then you can paralyze your opponent's next Pokemon, and you can probably get a couple KOs before your opponent's actually able to KO Belly Bolt, but I just couldn't make it consistent enough. I got to the point where I was throwing in Miraidon EX to try to speed up getting Pokemon out. We were using the Flaffy engine. Since we were discarding energy, we would just accelerate to benched Pokemon. Works in theory. I was using Jolteon VMAX as a free retreater, and Jolteon's not that bad, right? The electric generator, trying to use that, getting going, it just turned into a mess, and I didn't know how to recover this mess, and so you guys never saw it, sadly. That might be all my Paldea Evolved decks. This might be fun to do another video of in the future, of just like decks that you guys didn't see, although I think I deleted most of those, and yeah. I hope this was enjoyable for you. There's a lot of decks here, so if you are interested in any of these lists, jump in the Discord and ask me for it, and I'll post the list for you. I'm not going to post it in the description because that would just be so long. I don't even know if I would be allowed to post that many characters, but I just thought that this would be a fun thing to do before Obsidian Flames set review starts, and Obsidian Flames comes out and takes all the spotlight. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you did enjoy this video, because this is kind of experimental for me. And go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my Obsidian Flames set review videos starting tomorrow, I assume, depending on when this comes out. Tuesday, August 1st. August 1st is when my set review videos start. So be sure to subscribe for those. Join the Discord, as I mentioned before. And of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.